Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So in 2008, rapper Meek Mill was convicted on charges related to possession of guns and drugs. He served 8 months in prison and he was placed on probation for 5 years. His probation has been extended a few times, and recently this brother was sentenced to 2 to 5 years for violating his probation. And I think that there are some serious questions about this sentence. And I'm going to talk about why this sentence was questionable, why the judge's actions were questionable, and why this is a prime example of the injustice that exists in the so-called justice system. Number one, here the prosecution recommended that this brother not go to jail. But yet and still, this judge decided that this brother needs to spend some time in jail, in prison. This judge said that this particular prosecution wasn't as familiar with the case as she is. She said that the prosecutor is new to the case, so they don't know as much about the case as she does. And for that reason, this judge decided to sentence this brother to 2 to 5 years for violating his probation. So that's the first thing that makes this odd. The second thing that makes this odd is that this brother is being sentenced for violating his probation based on some charges that were actually dismissed. The first charge that was dismissed was a charge for fighting at a St. Louis airport. That charge was dismissed. So why is that being used as a basis for sentencing this brother for violating his probation? Another charge was for reckless driving while filming a music video. That charge was dismissed in a dismissal deal. But yet and still, this judge decided to use those things as a basis for sentencing this brother to 2 to 5 years for violating his probation. Another thing is this judge engaged in inappropriate conduct according to Meek Mill's attorney. And you can see the article here from the New York Times. I will post links to both of the articles that I've shown in this video so that you can read them for yourself. But according to Meek Mill's lawyer, this judge actually asked Meek Mill to include her name in a song. And she also provided unsolicited advice on who should manage Meek Mill. Meek Mill rejected her advice and her recommendations and her request, and it appears that this may be one of the reasons why this judge decided to sentence this brother to 2 to 5 years for violating his probation. This is unjust. I mean, here you have a brother who has a promising rap career. He's one of the well-known, famous rap artists, and now he's facing all these years based on some charges that were dismissed. He's facing all these years despite a contrary recommendation by the prosecution. He's facing all these years based on this butthurt judge being upset, probably because he wouldn't include her name on a song and because he wouldn't take her advice on who should manage him. And from what I understand, there were some reports that this judge, and this is the judge right here, that this judge actually recommended that this brother use her boyfriend as a manager or sign to her boyfriend's label. This is inappropriate conduct. And I hope that Meek lawyers really press this case and make sure that this brother get justice. I hope that they're able to appeal this decision because this represents, the fundamental injustice that exists in the criminal justice system. I mean, if something like this could happen to a rich and famous rap star, we know what happens to the average brother that doesn't have these kind of resources. Having their probation violated based on some weak reasons and being forced back into prison and being denied the opportunity to make a better life for themselves. So those are my thoughts about this situation, man. Tell me what y'all think. I mean, it's just a shame that this brother faces all those years, for something that's very weak, for something that he shouldn't be going to jail for. And it's just another reminder, man, how we got to get out and away from the criminal justice system, man. Because this is looming over this brother's life. He's forced to be under probation, forced to be regulated in terms of his travel and all other kinds of normal rights that he would have based on some gun and drug charges. I mean, this epitomizes like the problems that are wrong with the criminal justice system in terms of this war on drugs, and how people are punishing people, locking people up for nonviolent offenses. I mean, possession drugs is a nonviolent offense. And, it's contrary to what has happened in terms of this whole, this issue of opioids and how the criminal justice system is dealing with that problem, since now a lot of the people that use those types of drugs are predominantly white. All of a sudden, the criminal justice system has mercy for those people. But when it comes to black people, the criminal justice system doesn't have that kind of mercy. They didn't have that kind of mercy during the crack epidemic. They didn't have that kind of mercy during the situation where heroin was a major problem in the black community. But now that drugs has affected the white community, all of a sudden they have mercy. All of a sudden they have a heart. And it's just a shame that often the people that are most harsh on their own people are black people. You want to have black people in positions of power. And then, unfortunately, some of our people abuse that power. So tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.